Hi, I'm Virginia from Facebook, and this session is something that I've been really excited about. It's on a topic that's really near and dear to my heart: diversity, equity, and inclusion. Social value and building social values are the key of everything we do here at Facebook. I feel so privileged to be here with two founders of companies that are really focused on bringing up products and building for equity and inclusion, especially now through COVID. I think we've really seen the power of technology and how technology can really help equalize opportunities and equalize access. So I have here with me Louise Butten from Bridgefy, a company that does mesh messaging that allows their users to be able to communicate even when they don't have access to the internet through Bluetooth. And it's been used from everything from protests to large events to natural disasters. And then I have the privilege of Vidit here with Meesho, who is a company that is focused on a reseller marketplace in India, where the majority of the entrepreneurs on the system are women who are looking to build businesses directly online and from over 5,000 different cities. So welcome, Vidit and Louise. Maybe to get started, I would love to hear a little bit more from you guys about your experience in your company and what you guys are focused on.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me here and letting us share our story. So very, very quickly, what do we do at Meesho? We have built a tech platform that enables mostly women to come online and start their online shops, leveraging all of social channels such as WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram in India. And today we have about 15 million plus of such women entrepreneurs across the country who are like selling products to their own consumers in their community. And these consumers are now more than 50 million. So this is like about what we do. I think it was 6 years ago when I and my co-founder Sanjeev got together, and both of us knew each other for a very, very long time. We were batchmates in college, and we got together and we started to like debate and brainstorm idea that we are really passionate about. And both of us come from middle-class backgrounds, have for our entire lives bought products from small businesses. But what we observed in 2015 was that even though like 90% plus of Indian economy is like from small businesses sold via small mom and pop shops, most of e-commerce by then was mostly branded products in electronics, branded fashion, white goods. So small businesses hadn't come online, hadn't seen growth in their business by leveraging like digital platforms, by leveraging technology. So we took a goal and took a mission that we want to bring these small businesses online. And that's why the name of Meesho means my shop. Like we wanted to give a shop of their own to each and every small business in India. 85% plus of women are not part of the workforce. Even among emerging countries, this number for India is one of the lowest globally. And this number, by the way, even though India's per capita is growing, is only going down, right? And because of many cultural reasons, many other lack of opportunity reasons, that these like hundreds of millions of women have not been able to fulfill their professional dreams because they are not allowed to step out of the house. So we realized that now, because of technology, we can let them like fulfill their dreams of starting like a fashion business, a fashion boutique, a jewelry boutique, right from their homes, which is like perfectly culturally allowed. And we built a platform where we could let them like discover suppliers across categories across the country, get access to all the e-commerce like infrastructure that they need to start their business, such as payments, logistics, marketing tools, all in one place, and let them like run their shop online with everything on our platform. And that's what we started with 4 years ago. And it just grew at a crazy pace, like started with few cities, especially the larger ones, and kept going deeper and deeper.
First of all, hello, Virginia. Thank you for having me. The seed behind Bridgefy is actually, it's as interesting. Bridgefy comes from the word bridge. Why? Because we're bridging the gap between the connected and the unconnected. What does that mean? Approximately, there are today around 3 billion people without internet access in the world today. That's a lot, considering there are about almost 8 billion people living in the world. And that's where the idea of bridging the gap between the connected and the unconnected came to be. How does Bridgefy work? What is Bridgefy? Bridgefy is mainly two products. The first one is an SDK, a piece of technology that creates mesh networks and allows apps to work without internet. So for example, let's suppose you're here, I'm here, and you want to send me a message, but neither of us has internet. So for example, if there are three people in the middle and we all have Bridgefy or the Bridgefy SDK, each one of the devices in the middle adds approximately 100 meters or 330 feet. So a message can hop from device to device to device to device and cover larger distances every time. So if we're like this, yeah, we can direct message each other without any problem. But if we're further away, then you say hello and your message hops 100 meters, 100 meters, 100 meters, 100 meters, and then it gets to me. I'm not, I'm not 100 meters away like on the first example, but I'm 400 meters away, like in the second example. And that's how Bridgefy bridges the gap. Even in this day and age, there are many situations where either people don't have internet all the time or where people don't have internet at all. So that's why the seed of Bridgefy was planted. We looked at all these people around the world feeling maybe unconnected or not being able to join the rest of the world in connectivity or in a larger community. And we thought, well, what can we do for them? What can we do for them that's innovative and that brings the world a little bit closer together? And that's how Bridgefy was born.
I love that mission. I think, Facebook's mission is also all about connecting people. And I think it's amazing to see how for you guys, even though when you talk about equity and diversity, your addressable audience is actually huge, it's in the billions. I'd love to understand from you, when you are building these products, what are some positive outcomes you've found because of the fact that you have equity at the center of your core purpose?
Of course. Well, the main positive outcome we found is that, and it was actually quite shocking for us, and it's that we don't decide what our product is, but our users do. At the beginning, we thought Bridgefy was going to be used in music festivals, at sports events, and that's why we created this messaging app, this massive messaging app. Because when you were or are, hopefully we'll be back to those activities pretty soon. When you are at a concert, many times networks jam up or data stops working, and that's why Bridgefy was born. That was one of the objectives Bridgefy would try to achieve back then at the very beginning. But then as time went on, we realized people not only use those in those situations, but also during or after natural disasters or at protests, which is a delicate subject for us. So the main positive outcome we realized was precisely that. We had an idea in mind, but people thought we could be something else. We could achieve more. We could serve them in more situations than we originally thought. And that prompted us to listen, to adapt, and to start prioritizing things that we didn't at the beginning because we just didn't think about it.
That's great. And Vidit, I'd love to understand, you were trying to build for really empowering small business and entrepreneurs, for trying to build for this purpose. What were some of the key positive outcomes that came for that you weren't expecting? And what are some product changes that you made because of this focus and this audience?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. And I think one of the most surprising outcomes we've had is when we built out this product, we used to always feel that the biggest gratification that our audience, which is mostly these women entrepreneurs, get from us is financial independence. They're able to finally make some income, and that is how they measure whether we are giving them the required value. But over time, we have realized that the primary gratification for all our users is the professional identity they get with the product. Like, we hear stories like, hey, before I became a Meesho entrepreneur, people used to call me as Mrs. XYZ, right? Like, that's the only identity I have. No one even knows my name. No one knows I do anything, right? Like, I've been mostly a homemaker, but now people know that I run a business in this community I get respect, which gives me self-esteem, which gives me confidence. I get respect within my family, right? Like my mother-in-law starts to help me out in a lot of things. So this professional identity, which comes with confidence and self-esteem, has been by far the biggest value that we've been able to create for our audience. And we see this story again and again and again everywhere across the country. And I think this is something that we feel really, really proud about as well, right? Like we have seen this again. And we've been able to leverage this insight and also build out a lot of products for these women entrepreneurs. Like, for example, we've started to recognize that the recognition that they get in their community is much more valuable than, for example, giving a bonus. So a lot of our gamification in the product, a lot of our recognition when people achieve certain milestones is around like getting you a particular award in your own community, where we do an award ceremony. Some of this used to happen offline. During COVID, now we do it online, and people really feel proud about it. And a lot of other things, again, on the same lines. But this particular insight around like really giving people a professional identity, which comes with respect and which comes with self-esteem, has been like one of the biggest mind-blowing things we have ever experienced since we started this business.
I love that. I love how both of you started off building something, and because of you're following your purpose and your path, you've really come to something even more comprehensive, and that have given people a voice and an identity through it all. For the theme of F8 this year is build together, grow together. And it sounds like that's what you guys are really focused on, is building your product together with your audience and growing together with your audience. Maybe Vidit, we'll start with you this time. How do you see this perspective with your company and teams of building together and growing together?
So we've always like considered our entire ecosystem, which includes our women entrepreneurs, which includes small businesses who come and list their products that are sold by our women entrepreneurs, other small businesses who come and provide services such as logistics. We've always considered the entire ecosystem to be part of what we do at Meesho, right? And I think this theme of build together, grow together, to some extent is part of our DNA when we think about our ecosystem. Like, for example, we have a cultural value at Meesho, and that value is called make entrepreneurs successful. Like everything that we do has to be around making our entrepreneurs successful. If we are able to make that happen, we are achieving our goals irrespective of what metric it is moving. If that's not happening, there's something fundamentally wrong. Right. So I think this whole theme of build together and grow together is very, very core in terms of how we approach our business and how we grow it. And then it is, again, percolated into everything we do and how we operate, right? Whether we are like discovering new opportunities, we're always like on the ground, very, very close to our entrepreneurs, asking them what exact kind of problems they face. When we build out even new products, we are trying them out with very different kinds of entrepreneurs across the country. India is a very, very heterogeneous country. There's a saying in India that every 2 kilometers, the language changes, right? And the food changes, the culture changes. India is a very, very heterogeneous country. So when you are building a product that will serve people from north to south to east to west, you have to, like, for example, work for each and every type of user. You have to localize for them. You have to personalize for them. And I think this whole theme that you just talked about really resonates with everything that we do around this theme.
Now, for other folks who are founders, innovators, who are thinking of creating businesses that are purposeful, purpose-driven like you guys, what's your advice for them, especially having gone through these tough times? What is the thing that you would tell them, mistakes that you've made, or advice that you could give them to help them on their journey?
Yeah, I think I can give few recommendations again from our journey. What I would say is, I think one thing that we have done is we have built mission to be very core of our culture. Like everyone who joins the company from day one knows that they're coming here because they're inspired by our vision, which is to enable 100 million small businesses to succeed online. They come from very similar backgrounds like us and then they feel inspired that, hey, I would want to help out people like me. And that really inspires them. So I would say the first thing that any developer who's thinking about, for example, working towards impactful outcomes, one thing you should definitely do is make it very, very core part of your culture, right? The second thing, which again is very, very important, is like when you are trying to serve the underserved audience, you generally have to build very, very different kinds of products. Something that we did since the beginning is we used to build different product funnels for different kinds of users. So some people were very tech savvy. They knew from day one how to use a mobile app. But a lot of our other users used to come and say, the only app we have ever used all in our lives is WhatsApp. And I don't know how to use anything else. And I can't make sense of this. So we built an assisted product in the early days to help them come onto a product. We used to kind of serve them sitting on WhatsApp through some of our users. Over time, we have built technologies to help them out to come to a product directly and serve them in self-serve ways. But I'm saying in the beginning, we took a very targeted approach of serving each and every user differently basis the kind of background they come from, because everyone comes from very different maturity levels in terms of tech savviness, in terms of their income segments, and you'll have to cater to their specific needs.
I think that's a really great point. When you're trying to serve the underserved, you also remember a lot of it means you're earlier on with them in their journey of coming online and being connected, and you really have to build different products than probably what your engineers and product folks are used to. It's a very different audience that you're building for. You're not building for yourself, which I think sometimes when you're building consumer apps, you kind of get that as a privilege or as a way to make things a little easier. Louise, you're also would love to understand from you. I think there was some great advice around being core part of your culture and really differentiating for the users. What would be your advice for entrepreneurs who are looking to get started, who are inspired as I am by your stories?
The biggest advice I think we could give is be ready to listen and be willing to adapt. I mean, we all come with an idea. We will come up with an idea at the beginning. We work in it. We present it to the world, and that's perfect, and that's fine. However, once again, or according to us at least, that's something we think. It's people who decide what you are, not you yourself. So if you notice people are giving your product or service a different use than you originally meant to, and you think they're growing with you and you want to build with them, maybe adapt some of their suggestions to deliver them a better performance. So sometimes, while this sounds great in theory, in practice, sometimes that could hurt some egos or could bring some disappointment. Or on the other hand, it could be exciting and new, and it's going to unlock a world full of possibilities. It depends on the nature of the founders. But as an advice, that would be it. Be ready to listen and be willing to adapt. Try to build a product people want and people are interested in, and not launch a product and then try to force an interest in it, because it'll be harder. Rather build something that people actually want. And if you listen, if you look closely, people will give you hints all along. I mean, we're not alone in that matter.
Thank you, Louis and Vidit, for your time. That was a really inspiring conversation. I know I took away so much around the need to listen to your audiences, build real audience at heart, and really keep your mission in mind as you pivot and grow. I really look forward to continue this conversation, and thank you once again for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity of sharing our experiences with you. I hope they've been interesting and useful for you all, and I'm looking forward to be repeating this experience in the near future.
Thank you guys for having me here. Really enjoyed the conversation with both Virginia and Louis discussing equity and inclusion.